Okay, so this is Unit Q, Concept 4, and these are the 4 problems. So level 1, so it says cotangent of x is radical 3 over 3. So we have to find at what point in the unit circle is cotangent radical 3 over 3. So first let's try 1/2 over radical 3 over 2. And we know that cotangent is x over y, so that would be 1/2 divided by radical 3 over 2, so it's the same thing as saying 1/2 times 2 radical 3, so that would cancel. We have 1 radical 3, so you multiply, and we get radical 3 over 3, so that's what we need. So we use this point, so at this point it is the 60-degree reference angle. So cotangent is positive in the first quadrant and in the third quadrant. So that means that our first angle is going to be 60 degrees, since that's this angle, and in this angle it would be 240 degrees, which is pi over 3 and 4 pi over 3. And that's our answer for level 1. Level 2, it says 2 sine of x minus 1 equals 0. So we're going to solve for sine of x. So we subtract 1, we get 2 sine of x equals 1. Divide by 2, we get sine of x equals 1/2. Plus 1 over here. Okay, so now we have to find where sine of x is equal to 1/2. So we know that sine is y over r, so that means that our y is going to be 1/2, because we know that r is 1. So at what point is y 1/2? So it's at this point, which is the 30-degree reference angle, and sine is positive in both the first quadrant and the second quadrant. So our first angle is going to be 30 degrees, which is pi over 6, and the one here, 150, since the reference angle is 30, and that is 5 pi over 6, and that is our answer for level 2. Level 3, it says cosecant squared plus cotangent of x is equal to 3. So what we're going to do is, first we want to try to get everything to be one identity. So we're going to use, for level 3, we're going to start using our identities. And we see that cosecant squared is equal to cotangent squared plus 1. So we're going to substitute that in value for here. So 1 plus cotangent squared is cosecant squared, so we're going to substitute that in here. So it's going to be 1 plus cotangent of x squared plus cotangent x equals 3. And then we're going to move everything to one side. So we're going to subtract 3, and we get cotangent squared x plus cotangent x minus 2 equals 0. So now we see that we have formed a quadratic equation. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to factor it. But to make it easier to factor it, we're just going to use a substitution. So we're going to say u squared plus u minus 2, which factors into u minus 1 and u plus 2. And then we're just going to substitute u for cotangent. So it's going to be cotangent x minus 1 times cotangent x plus 2. And then by using the zero product property, we're going to make both equal to 0 and then solve. So we add 1, and then cotangent of x equals 1, and cotangent of x equals negative 2. So now cotangent is x over y, so we're going to need two values to equal 1, and that would be at the point in radical 2 over 2, radical 2 over 2, which is a 45-degree angle. And cotangent is positive in both the first quadrant And the third quadrant, so our first thing is going to be 45, which is pi over 4. And in the third quadrant, it's going to be 225 degrees, which is 5 pi over 4. And that is our answer just for this part. Now for this one. Okay, so then the second one is cotangent of x equals -2. However, if we plug in, since we know that cotangent is x over y, and we use all of our other points, we see that we can't get it. So what we're going to do is we're going to do the inverse of it. So inverse and then inverse. So we're going to plug it in as 1 over the inverse of -2. And then we get 360. And that is our answer, which is 2 pi. Okay. Now for the bottom one. Level 4. So it says sine of x over 2 equals 0. So for this one, we're going to let m represent x over 2. So it's the same thing as saying a sine of m equals 0. So sine is y over r, and we know that r is 1. So for sine to be 0, y has to be 0. So that means that the y point is 0. So this means this has to be 1. And then we see that it's 1, 0, and -1, 0. So we're going to have quadrant angles. So then m equals both 0 degrees, this one, and 180 degrees. So then we're going to plug it into this. So it's the m equals x over 2, so it's 0 equals x over 2. X equals 0, and then 180 equals x over 2. X also equals 360, which this is 2 pi, and this is 0 rad. And that's our answer.